Alright, take a minute to admire all of this. Alright, now that you've admired all of this, I can start talking about what I want to talk about. This is my first video. I finally have a YouTube channel. Yes, you can subscribe now. Please subscribe. Today I want to talk about, I actually want to make a video about something that I haven't made a video about that I've wanted to for a very long time, because me and my best friend Hasan went on a Euro trip. We traveled to 5 countries, 6 cities in 22 days. We prepared for it for a very long time. We had to go through a lot to get the visa because as Lebanese people, it's not really that easy. After we did get the visa, we were very excited that day. We were screaming all over the place like, yes, yes, we're going to Europe. We started planning the whole thing. We actually used hotels.com and other websites to like book the hotels, plan the outings. We actually did a lot of research first. So the plan for the trip was basically that we were going to start in Milan. The first day of the trip was very surreal. We made it to Italy. We arrived at around 1. The first thing we did was go see the Duomo. The Duomo is a very big cathedral. It's basically the cigarette break. It's basically the landmark of Milan. It's basically the it place to be in Milan. It's located in the center, near the center. There are a lot of malls. They're very high fashion. I mean, they call Milan the fashion city of the world. Pizza. The second day was a lot more productive than the first day. The first thing we wanted to do was take a bus or a taxi to the train station, Garibaldi station, because we wanted to know how we could get there for our trip to Paris the next morning. It's really important during your Euro trips or any trip whatsoever to know which station you're going to so you don't miss the train, which is something that we almost did several times throughout the trip. After that, we went to this pizza place called Tavolini. If you're ever in Milan, you have to go to Tavolini. They have these big ass pizzas. They're like this big. We went to this restaurant that's a bit far from the center of Milan. It's about 20 minutes away. It's called Sapori Salori. I have a feeling I'm saying it wrong, but they serve these 4-course meals with wine.
Do you think we're gonna? You didn't press play. Oh, you did.
I did press play. He's very tipsy.
I'm so sorry.
We just had our first drink, and
We had the bottle.
if we miss the metro, I am so kicking your ass. And I mean, I was a bit frustrated. The food was really slow, but it was so worth it. And apparently you have to take your time, and I usually inhale my food, so. During the next day, we reached Paris. It was a 7-hour train from Milan to Paris. Paris is literally everything people say it is. It is magic. I mean, for a second, I was just standing there thinking, is this real life? It's such a beautiful city. It's such a beautiful country. We were staying at the Hotel Metropole. The owner was Algerian. His name was Marwan. He gave us this big lecture about Lebanon and what a great country it is, and he was really friendly. I loved that part. We were so exhausted and we had so much to do the next day, so we decided to just walk around the city, and yeah, it was perfect. I mean, I feel like the first night in Paris was probably one of the best nights of my life, because everything about the air, the lights, the people. Now, I can't speak a word in French. Like, people would just come up to me and start talking, like if I needed something, and I'd just be like, what's the first thing you would do in Paris? The Eiffel Tower, definitely. That's what we basically did on our first day. We went to the Eiffel Tower. We took pictures next to the Champ de Mars. I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but whatever. Then we went to the Tuileries Gardens. I feel like I said that wrong as well, but whatever, which is a very big and beautiful garden which links up to the Louvre Museum, which is basically the most famous museum in the world. We did not go in, however, because, I mean, it's a really big museum and it was going to take all day. So basically we had to wait until the next morning when we were coming back. After that, we got on this hop-on, hop-off tour, and I feel like that was a complete waste of money, because we paid 66 euros together, collectively. And we basically just hopped off after one stop, because, I mean, we wanted to walk the entire city, which is impossible. The final thing we did on our second day in Paris was I took the bathtub to myself. I got all this wine, and I just sat there like a pretentious bitch. Next day was Versailles Day. We went to the Palace of Versailles, which is beautiful. It's huge. The Hall of Mirrors is incredible. The line was very annoying to get into the palace, but it was really worth it because the gardens are magnificent. The gardens are huge. I mean, you cannot get through it. I mean, I told Hasan, we're gonna finish this today. We're gonna walk the entire thing through. And he's like, la. And I'm like, bala. And he's like, no. And I'm like, yes. It did not end well. You're gonna have to take a train to get to Versailles, and it's so worth it. It's so beautiful. We spent an entire day there. We literally didn't do anything else that day. I mean, we just walked around the city. We actually had Chinese for dinner that night. You're in Paris and you have Chinese. I actually tried snails, and they're actually not that bad. It's like eating mucus. Not that I know what eating mucus tastes like. It was a very interesting experience. Day 6 of our trip was probably the most artistic one of all. We went to the Louvre Museum, we went to the center, Pompidou Center. We walked around, we went to Steaks and Shake, which is not French at all. We actually had burgers. Yes, the streak of eating non-Parisian foods in Paris continued. Louvre was great. It was huge, as expected. Mona Lisa was obviously, it had the biggest crowd, and I thought, I am not leaving this motherfucker until I get my picture with her. Yeah, I remember an Asian lady just flipped me off, and she was like 70, and I'm like, I love you, adopt me. We went to the Seine River. It had the Notre Dame Cathedral like right next to it. I mean, everything just surrounds the Seine River. Next morning, where were we gonna go the next morning? We were gonna go to Disney. Yes! Disneyland is the magical kingdom. It is definitely, I mean, if you're in France and you don't go to Disney, bitch, you did nothing. I loved the ride. There's this one ride where you just sat there, ghosts appear, and then the doors open and you realize that you're on top of a building, that there's a view of like all of Disney right in front of you, and it scared the shit out of me. Like, I was just like, ah! And then like there were little kids right next to me who were like 4 and 5 were just looking at me like, what's wrong with this man? But it was so worth it. It was so fun, and it was a perfect way to bookend Paris. It was a perfect way to say, bye-bye Paris, I will be back. I am so going back. What was my favorite part of Paris? I think it was the Sacré-Cœur Church. I think I'm saying it wrong. Sacré-Cœur. 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 It's just gorgeous. It's just, you sit on the hill, you drink the wine, you go inside, you just stare out into the rest of the city, and it's brilliant. I loved it. I loved it! But yeah, we were off to Brussels, Belgium. I'm gonna speak very briefly about Brussels, Belgium. It's very quiet. We were at the Hotel Grand Cloche. We were actually shocked at how quiet it was. Like by 8 or 10, people would just be asleep and in their homes. And on the weekend, it has a beautiful landscape. The sunsets there are incredible. I mean, we weren't in an area that had nature or anything, but just the way the buildings were constructed. There's a lot of street art. There's a lot of graffiti. The night scene is interesting. It's funny how you can have like a completely silent town, and then you just walk into a club and realize there are like 12 clubs right next to it, 12 bars right next to it, and everyone is going crazy and having fun on their weekend.
We're having drinks. Hey, drinks. Adam's on his 4th drink. I'm still on, like, I had a whiskey and 1 beer, so I'm still better than him. I'm a bit tipsy though, so I'm pretty sure he's like hammered. He's blinking too much.
You're drunk. You're drunk.
No, you're drunk.
I'm talking to myself. I want you to remember that Belgium is the... Okay, Exhibit A. And we took another train to Bruges. The train to Bruges was really, really annoying. There was a mistake with the booking because we didn't have a seat, so we just stood there for an hour. People would like lay on the floor or hold on to whatever they can find so there could be place for them to be on the train. So that was probably the most annoying experience of the entire trip. But Bruges is a very colorful place. It's very beautiful. Also in Brussels, there's the statue of the peeing baby. I don't know much about it, but you could research it. Next, we were off to Amsterdam. Yay, let's get high. But before I move on to Amsterdam, also the Grand Palace in Brussels, Belgium. Go check it out. What things could you do in Amsterdam? Well, there's the center, the red light district. Vondelpark is a park. Vondelpark is a park in Amsterdam, and it's gorgeous. It is so pretty. It's paradise. I mean, it's the closest you could get to the Garden of Eden on Earth. Prostitution is legal there. There are a lot of sex shows, a lot of sex stores. It's an adventure. It's an adventure. It's definitely, I mean, you could smoke up, you could do a lot of things, and it would be legal. What happens in Amsterdam stays in Amsterdam. The nightlife is great, and I think people get the wrong impression when it comes to Amsterdam. They think, oh, all people want to do there is like go and, you know, take substances and party. I mean, people there are actually very efficient. They're very nice. They're very I think they've outgrown the party scene that Amsterdam is known for, and it was actually really cool. Next was an 8.5 hour train to Germany. We got to Munich, but I'm gonna speak briefly about Munich as well because first of all, I like Germany. It was my least favorite destination. I'm not gonna lie, because people seemed reluctant to speak English as opposed to all the rest of the countries, even though they were really, really nice. We went to Hellebrunn Zoo on our first day, which is, I think, the 4th biggest zoo in the world. I felt like a little kid running around looking for all the animals. It even had penguins and a polar bear. Although one of the polar bears died, I feel like it wasn't cold enough for the polar bears. So I think they should really move them to another location. I'm actually gonna let you in on a little secret. We went to this club that the front man Freddie Mercury from Queen used to go party. It's called Pimpernel. I think it was a bar in Munich. And I decided to drink a little bit too much, and I spent the next day just getting panic attacks and throwing up. So that was one full day wasted in Munich. The day after that, we went to Marienplatz, I think it was called. It's the town square. And our final stop was the English Gardens. The English Gardens were really cool. I loved the English Gardens. The English Gardens were incredible. I mean, it had a big ass lake right in the middle. We went canoeing. People were swimming in the lake. They had like surfing competitions. It was like something I've never seen in my whole life. It was incredible. I loved it. It was definitely, I mean, okay, Munich was my least favorite, but it was cool. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I liked it. So 22 days, 5 countries, 6 cities. Most frequent questions were, how did you plan it? How long before did you need to plan it? And how much did it cost? How did I plan it? How did we plan it? We actually researched everything. We saw how far the hotels were from the centers. We went to all these websites like Trivago, hotels.com, cheapoair.com. We didn't go to an agency. We booked everything ourselves, whether it was the hotels. We sent the hotels emails, they confirmed back. We booked the trains, the buses. I mean, you need to research all these things. We actually calculated the routes, how many hours it would take from this area to that area. How much did it cost? I think, how much did it cost? I don't really have an exact answer, but I can tell you how to make it cheaper. And I mean, if you're traveling alone, I guess you could go to a hostel. I mean, it would cost you, what, like 18 euros a night, which is nothing, but like, I cannot go to a hostel. I will not sleep next to anyone. I will not have a stranger fart or snore in the same room. No, thank you. Beware of scammers. A lot of people will come up to you, they'll tell you they're charities, they'll give you all these pamphlets and books. They've gotten really creative with how to take your money. You know, there are a lot of them. I mean, they're everywhere. You know, they tell you they're following like some sort of Gandhi-like figure or whatever, and you think, oh, interesting, I want to be a part of this. Just don't. I made that mistake. Hasan would keep telling me, like, I don't know, they're lying. And I'm like, no, they're obviously a good cause. And then another stranger would come up to me and he'd say the same thing, and he obviously doesn't know the other person. And it was just a big, you know? So yeah, but it was a beautiful experience. I can't wait. I'm actually planning my next trip now, and I cannot wait to go. And it's just, traveling is just, I mean, I've traveled before, but this was the first time that I actually went on an actual full-on trip, and it was just a very beautiful experience. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you want more videos of me just talking about things, just me talking, that's all it's gonna be, then please subscribe. And yeah, this is my first YouTube video. Ciao.